All right. Well, happy St. Patty's Day, everyone. It's great to see y'all. And so today we have a guest speaker, Vince Vitale, with the trade show calendar. Um, Vince and I go way back. In fact, I forced him to run a half marathon one time, and he's never forgiven me after that. So we've known each other a while, and he's got a great product that a lot of us use in the industry, and so I'm going to toss it to Harold to do the rest of this story with Vince.
Great. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Uh, we chatted with Vince a couple of weeks ago and asked him if he'd join us. I think now more than ever, as the industry is starting to find traction again and start opening up, it becomes even more important for us to keep an eye on the shows, their shifting dates and times. And with Vince's trade show calendar.com, I think it's a great resource, and he's a great resource for us to ask and find out a little bit more about how his organization is helping the entire industry actually get back on track. So I'm sure most of you know, but the trade show calendar is a comprehensive global search engine of global, worldwide trade exhibitions. And it's not only a listing of them, but it also has links to the individual shows' websites. Uh, and as COVID has affected not just our industry, but the world over the last 12 months, I think it's become even more critically important that a list of comprehensive worldwide shows become available to us as the dates change and as they shift, we all stay kind of current. Uh, and you'll forgive me, Vince, if I give just a little bit of background on you to warm people up here. Vince has been in the industry 30 years. I think he started in 1991 as a junior sales rep for Sands Expo. And the first show that he attended was Comdex, and he said once he attended Comdex and saw that, he said he was hooked in the industry. He's worked for, prior to starting the trade show calendar.com, he spent time with Larhoven, TWI, Coastal International Trade Show, Court, and Octanorm. Um, so Vince, let's do this as a format. Let's give you the floor for a few minutes so you can kind of
Okay,
share a little bit about uh, whatever you'd like to share about the
perfect.
calendar. And then I'll jump in with some questions, and then we'll open the floor to distribution.
Okay, so when I got into the industry at the Sands Expo and then worked through several jobs through Coastal and Larhoven and the others, every single company that I worked with, especially when I was starting out as a junior salesperson or just building my sales pipeline, every one of my bosses said, "Well, go out and find what shows are out there," and it was really kind of a struggle. And I know every single company in the industry has done that in the past. You put somebody on the task of going to find out what shows are coming up, what's coming up in Las Vegas or Chicago or whatever, or what's coming up in July. And there was never really a good resource to find that information. This was still back in the when the internet was developing. So as I worked through my own series of jobs, I always kept this list for myself for what was coming up in Vegas because I was in Vegas at the time, or just especially when I worked for TWI, I was working on international sales and I couldn't work on the official shows, so I had to go and find stuff that we weren't working on. That was a huge undertaking to find international shows that were going on. So I started building this list, and about 12 years ago, I found the method to, I'm not a designer or anything, but I found a way to put it online. And I said, everybody needs to use this. It's silly for us to all keep our own individual calendars and keep that updated. So I found a way to do that. I did it for many years just as a part-time venture. It was just as a sideline to my full-time job. But it started to become really valuable. People started asking for more and more shows that needed to get bigger and bigger, and so I started private labeling it, and it's grown into, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people agree, is that it's the most comprehensive, most accurate trade show calendar in the entire world. There are others out there, but it's a big job to keep it accurate. especially now with COVID, because it's just changing so fast. And if you're going to have a calendar, I think you also need to have a link to the official website, because even my calendar is not accurate. Shows are canceling every day. And to have a link to the official website, even if my date is incorrect, even if they change the date, you can go to the official web link and find out what the show organizer is telling you. And so that's why I think it's really valuable, and people are valuing the service. And then I started private labeling it, and it's gone from there. Let me take a quick question though. Anybody on this call?
Yeah, I'm going to start off with one. So, what mechanism, if you're not revealing trade secrets, how do you stay current as a show cancels tomorrow, or when a new show starts next month? How do you get wind of that? How does your calendar stay up to date?
Well, I've been doing this for 12 years, so I know a lot of the shows, especially in the U.S. I know every one of the major shows, and I know most of the medium-sized shows. There are a lot of small shows that I still don't know about, and I hear about them every now and again, or we do web research or that kind of thing, or show organizers write to me directly and say, "Will you list my show on your calendars?" So that's how, but it takes a lot of manual research to go into their official website and say, is this still going on, or did they cancel? So, and in the past, trade shows typically don't cancel or move dates, because there are so many people moving so much freight and so much labor, and it's really a difficult thing to change the dates or cancel a show. So that didn't happen very often. Once in a while a tornado would happen, or a hurricane might move some dates or whatever. But with COVID, everything's changed. Almost every single show in the entire world has changed, even in Asia. And it's really kind of interesting to watch them come back, because the cancellations have been hard, but the rescheduling has been really hard too, because they say, okay, let's move it forward 6 months. Oh, now we're crowding out this other show that's competing with us, or the convention center gets too full. They used to have capacity for 5 shows at the one time, but now it's getting too full in the convention center. So they'll bump a show a week forward or a week back, and I go, it's kind of crazy what that does to everyone involved with a show, especially exhibitors and attendees and all that kind of thing. So it's really a handful to make sure that we have accurate information, and that requires checking all the time. I'm checking every day. And for shows coming up in the next 2 months, I'm checking those every week, because otherwise shows are canceled all the time.
Great.
Has anyone, quick question, has anyone on this call never used the trade show calendar?
That's good.
I guess we're all on it. So if you haven't used it that much, one question that I get asked often is why? What do we use it for? Especially suppliers or builders or people in the industry. And there are several reasons, depending on your role at whichever company you're at. People use it for different reasons. For us in the industry, it's great to find out what shows are coming up in a certain city or a certain month. If you're a salesperson and you're digging for new business, maybe you have a client in the construction. What other construction industry shows are out there? Maybe I can refer these to my current customer, or maybe I can start marketing to those similar type shows in different regions of the country, different time periods, whatever. So that's one reason that they're doing it. Another is that they are referring this. Clients ask all the time, what other shows should I be going to? And with the calendar, you can search by industry. That's a big thing for exhibitors specifically, to go and find, what, I don't care about all the dental shows. I care about shows in my industry. What am I missing? And they all know the big ones. But there are many small regional shows that they might find additional exhibiting opportunities, which would be good for suppliers and exhibitors. Attendees, I think, are the big, one of the major purposes of this calendar. It started for me as a supplier in the industry, but I think for our industry, really helping attendees find additional places to go and find a trade exhibition, because they don't necessarily know all the shows. Say you're in electronics, they don't necessarily know. They know CES, but they don't necessarily know all of the smaller vertical shows that they could be going to. Especially if you're not, say IBM sends 150 people to CES. Well, there are thousands of people that work for IBM that don't get to go. Could they also go to another smaller vertical show in Chicago or Indianapolis or wherever? It helps us as an industry, I think, to help attendees find all the possibilities that are out there. I think that's going to be a big way for us to get out of COVID, because a lot of people are going, where did that show move?
Yeah, I was about to peel that layer back a little bit with you. So with the rise and hopefully soon to be fall of COVID, how do you think this data that you're providing can help the industry as a whole get back on track?
We are kind of a hidden industry, aren't we? Most people don't know about the trade show industry. They might go to one once in a while, but we're really kind of hidden. And I've had this conversation with several people in this industry. How do people find out about shows, and is it important to them? One conversation, I was talking with Kathy Braden of IAE, and we as an industry have always let the show organizer do all the marketing for our industry. How do attendees find out the shows that are out there? How do exhibitors find out? Well, we've let the show organizer do all the marketing. The other industries, like, say, for instance, you remember the Got Milk marketing campaign? The milk industry has put out a big campaign to promote their industry, maybe increase the consumption of milk, right? And some people said, well, did that campaign really improve the consumption of milk? Well, maybe not, but the milk wasn't poisoned at the time. Our entire industry has been poisoned for a year, and we absolutely need a marketing campaign of some type to promote the value of trade shows and get people going, comfortable flying on a plane and staying in a hotel, and to really promote our industry, because it'll come back as slow as it comes back. But what can we do to help it come back a little bit faster? That'll help all of us. So I'm thinking this is one way to promote the industry to a lot of different people.
Vince, I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
Is your business are you running your business any different today, 12 months into COVID, than you were 13 months ago? And do you think it's a temporary change, if there is one, or permanent?
13 months ago, I was still making sales. The money in our industry has dried up to where everybody's on a spending freeze. Coming out of COVID, I think a lot of different companies will be spending money and promoting our industry, and this is one way to do it. There are a lot of different ways to promote our industry, or to their projects, like Freeman has one, and the Go Live Together campaign, and all of those things to really promote our industry. This is another way to do it, and that one way that we can all do it. Several companies have private labeled this calendar, and that's the only way really that you can use it. You asked before. Is it needs to be private labeled with somebody's banner at the top of it and contact information. That's the only way you can get to this data. It's of course free to use for anybody to use as they want to, but to private label it, you talk to me offline, and I'll be happy to share with you all the ways to do that. Reasons that companies are choosing to do that, and especially out of COVID, is one is to promote their company. This goes out to, as private label, goes out to all their customers and their prospects, and it's like content marketing. You're helping companies know your brand, and you're providing them a valuable tool to help them. So that's one of the main reasons. The second is SEO marketing. If you use this calendar in your website, because you're embedding this calendar and it's still your website, it drives a lot of traffic to your website. You can the Google and all the search engines will find your website, and I'll tell you how to do that if you're interested in doing it. And the third way is to really, it's an industry-wide effort to promote the industry. Like Laguna Displays, one of your distributors is using this calendar, and Exhibitor Magazine, and IAE, and EDPA, and HCEA, and I've got over 60 to 70 companies using it so far. I want to expand that to a much wider range, and it's available to any company that wants to private label it for your customers. So I think coming out of COVID, I'm going to see a lot more interest and money being spent on this as a marketing effort.
All right. Distributors, conversationalists, is there any things you want to toss at Vince that he can address? Okay, we're going to put a link to Tom's, Vince's contact information in the conversation box. And if you don't see it there, we'll send it out to you after the meeting so you can reach out directly to Vince. Vince, please feel free to stay around while we jump into the next part of our meeting. Thanks.
All right, will do. Thank you so much, Harold, and thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Vince.
All right, as everybody knows, today is St. Patrick's Day, and we're using that as a jumping off point for the next part of our meeting. I want you all to make the assumption that as soon as you get off this call, you're going to trip into a pot of gold. You're going to find $1 million at your feet. And the only limitation on you grabbing that money is that it has to be spent towards your business to help it get restarted or continue the traction that you're seeing. You don't have to be an owner. You can be a designer or a salesperson. And still, the question is going to be, how are you going to spend that $1 million to get up and running again or faster? Who wants to jump in first? And brace yourself, I'm going to be calling it everybody. So whether you go first or last, you're going to have a contribution here. Amy, I just saw your eyebrow go up. So I'm going to bother you first. Here's $1 million. You can spend it any way you want. Amy, how are you going to spend your $1 million?
I probably would spend a lot of it on joining organizations that I haven't been able to for a long time, like the EDPA. Would love to join that. Just do more content promoting. So spending money on marketing, and maybe some more machinery for our warehouse needs to get updated. We recently moved to a new place, and I know that I've got some electrical things that need to get taken care of. I actually just purchased a new CNC router, but I do need to do some other things to my warehouse. So that is what I would do. Start with. That's fine, not $1 million worth, but.
Let me ask you a quick follow-up. If you were going to hire additional personnel, what area would you be looking at?
Sales.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thanks for jumping in first. That's not always easy. Steve, I'm going to give you $1 million with my green mustache. How are you going to spend that to get your business up and running or back in the saddle again?
Well, being an employee, I might just take it and run, but probably would go into a lot more. Google marketing has been very helpful, and so we probably open up some new categories in there. It would certainly make buying the new building a lot easier. Since we're just trying to sell our building so we can get a bigger building for new presses. So I guess that would be what it really goes to.
Cool. Thank you. Max, since you've already got a stellar wardrobe, nice hat, that money's got to be spent somewhere in your business. What do you think the best ways to do that are?
I think there's some, in terms of CNC and a couple other things, there's some software upgrades that I would look at. Infrastructure wise, I think I'm absolutely set. If I were to look at it from a marketing standpoint, I would invest in some search engine optimization, definitely some digital advertising. I would look at doing some geofencing to certain shows in terms of advertising that I'm strong in to kind of build my verticals a little bit more than I have. And so, um, taking into consideration the areas that I'm strong in, I would make sure that I don't have all my eggs in one nest, but I would definitely put it back toward marketing, toward the areas that I feel I'm strongest in right now. And I think a lot of that has to do with digital advertising and in digital marketing, as well as probably some investment in people to do more. Um, I don't want to use the term virtual because I think that's a dead end, but some hybrid marketing that would be able to kind of extend the life of the shows for the people that I'm working with right now and do it internally rather than have to outsource it.
Quick follow-up. So you mentioned driving more folks to the website. Once they've gotten to the website, is the content that you have there what you want? Are you focusing on the right things for the business?
That's something I'm working on right now. And no, I think it's been kind of stale for a little while. And that's something that internally we're trying to make sure that is an ongoing process. I think a lot of companies, including us, have let it sit out there to dry too long. And so generating new and dynamic stuff, I think, is not only in terms of search engines are concerned, but we've been doing more blogging, but we need to actually keep it more dynamic on a regular basis. So updating it monthly, if not biweekly, is my goal. And so that's where I think I would find somebody that is far smarter than I am in terms of web programming to push it out there a little bit better.
Cool. Thanks so much. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Kazra, I'm coming to you next. You're a designer. You come with a creative head, not usually one running the business, but as a designer, head of a design department, you've got $1 million to spend or invest in the business. How are you going to best do that? Kazra, your microphone looks like it's open. Can you hear us? Maybe that's too much pressure. We'll come back to you, Kazra. Let's see, Brad, are you with us? How about you? There's $1 million that the leprechaun just handed to you. How are you going to spend it to get your traction started again?
I apologize. I was not in the meeting here for the first 10 minutes or so, but I get the general idea. The leprechaun did give me $1 million. He gave me $2 million back in February. It's the federal government leprechaun, and on top of what they did last year and employee retention credits, which we're working on, has been really important. I mean, I'm not even thinking about investments that I'm making are in keeping my people. I think on this call I've talked in the past that we had 135 people last January. We're down to 81. But we haven't had a layoff since, we did it March the 10th and March the 20th. We're having a sort of sad anniversary here over the last week and next week of, what we've endured. So, and I don't know about the other companies that are on this call, but I certainly had talked with like the CFO of Dursey, Dan Sarabin, and our bank, his bank. They've locked up our lines of credit until the business comes back. And so, what we're doing is just sitting on and conserving the cash that we have to stay in business, to keep our people, employed, and with the need to probably have to fund our own line of credit, if you will, for some period of time until things get a little bit better. We just look, cash is king. That has been what has been our mantra since last February. it's always true, but now that everything is has been so bad, and then we've been locked up, I think that you know, just holding on to the cash until we really start to feel, the recovery, and to keep our people is where my priorities are right now. Now, let me go with the spirit of your question is, let's say all of that's secured. Where would I invest? Clearly, I would probably buy a dozen to 20 classic exhibit rental properties that I would put into our various locations.
Nice.
I don't know. The thought that comes to my mind is diversification. It was one of the things that hit us when COVID hit last March. Our sales department got together and we said, we know how to design things, we know how to build things, we know how to manage some programs. Our primary source of doing that, trade shows, just hit a brick wall for God knows how long. Where else can we apply this? And we had, they went off, all the salespeople, and came back with their ideas. And the two that we stuck with was permanent installation work and virtual design work. And I know virtual sort of has a black eye, but we've sold over $1 million of it in the last 9 months, and it's helped slow our burn. And I do believe that it is an area. Let's forget about I agree with whoever the other gentleman was that said he doesn't like the word virtual. I agree with that. I was on the phone with Randy Aker yesterday, and we were talking about virtual and the exhibitor live and so forth. And they're going to try to incorporate digital in some way as an element of exhibitor live moving forward, and so is everybody else. So where have we invested? Where would I continue to invest? Designing, building exhibits is one thing. Having digital marketing assets that you can use inside of the exhibit when we go back to live, hybrid events where engaging on the digital side with the live the face-to-face side is going to be important. So that's what we're investing in. And I thought I was diversified in the trade show industry because we had medical clients and technology clients and et cetera, et cetera. Well, I didn't anticipate, that the whole industry would hit a wall. So the diversification into selling, to architects and general contractors has been the next major push that we've had. And that is something, both of these things will survive the recovery from the pandemic. So, by the way, I am wearing green. I've had my COVID-19 vaccine #1. So,
Great.
unfortunately, this is all the green I have today. So, all right, I've been talking for a while. I'll be quiet.
No, well, don't be quiet yet. I have a quick follow-up for you. So you and exhibitors have had a pretty strong, I'm going to say, relationship with your clients. You have good communication with them. You have marketing programs that reach out to them. Uh, if you were going to direct some of your newfound cash towards a new marketing program, does anything jump to mind?
Well, we had been spending quite a lot on marketing. I think if anybody gets Exhibitor Magazine, you have seen the 8 out of 10, 8 out of 12 issues. We've had full page ads, and we've gone big at Exhibitor Live as well with 20 by 30s, and we haven't been shy to, invest in that. Um, I don't know that we would do anything that different right at the moment. I think we try to continue down those paths because they've worked real well. I think Lynn Reeves, of course, and she's the head of our, uh, we call it the results division, but she's got the value for investment model. It's an ROI type of thing. Continuing to develop that so that our clients, we can offer them some consulting services on, putting real empirical data against the investment they're making in trade shows, what the results are, I think is really important. And that's something that I'd like to continue to develop.
Great. Brad, thanks for sharing that. That's great.
Thank you.
Janine, we're coming to you. Uh, with your new $1 million, what are some of the first things you're going to invest in?
I am so glad you gave me $1 million because there's so many wonderful things I would like to do. There are similar to me, there are some other organizations that I would like to join. Probably similar to I think a lot of people here, I would like to increase my marketing budget. I'd like to have more advertising space. Also do a bit more with direct mail. and I would like to have some additional personnel. So a lot of the things that I have been doing, it'd be nice to have somebody who's really smart, like at social media. I think I'm doing okay, but I'd like to get someone really, really sharp with that. I would also travel to, again, because I think being in front of customers as often as possible, even existing and then prospective customers, is very important. And since I travel over internationally, I need a lot of money for that. And last but not least, on my shopping list, I would endow a scholarship.
Give me another sentence or two on that.
I have I've in my estate plans, I am endowing a scholarship for at my university, but I'm thinking with this $1 million, it would be not my personal scholarship that I will endow at TCU, but maybe a scholarship within our industry, maybe with the universities that we work with, Bemidji State, maybe to because I think it's so important for us to continue to grow and develop talent that if a scholarship for an exhibit designer, potential exhibit designers at Bemidji State or FIT, either of those, or any other university, I guess. But I think that would be so fun. Besides, besides good, I just think it would be great to endow a scholarship to continue to grow our industry.
It's good for awareness, but you said one thing early on that captured my attention. You used the phrase that a lot of people don't recognize anymore called direct mail. So you said you would increase direct mail. Some of us are old enough to remember when that was one of the primary tools marketing teams used. Please tell me, you said increase. Are you using direct mail now? And why do you think that would be a positive these days?
I have just updated my direct mail brochure, and it is because I am old. It's maybe a little bit old school, but an email can be so easily deleted or opt out, put me on your opt out list. A brochure, even if it's very simple but well done, yes, it still might end up in the bin, but it may also be something that gets put in a folder or might be kept because it's something tangible that they're holding in their hand. So it may be very old school, but I will tell you, because I still do a lot of cold calling, and I had sent one on a show that I had targeted. It was very specific market in the aviation world that I work in. And when I called and said, may speak to the person who has your trade shows, and introduced myself, she said, "Oh, we got your brochure." So at least, on one occasion, somebody recognized and connected, "I'm Janine with Global Exhibit Management, and I'm calling you about MRO Americas." There was an actual connection. So it is kind of old school, and who knows, but I would like that to maybe expand that a little bit more and have, with $1 million, I would probably be able to have someone develop a really good targeted list so that that brochure isn't just going to the trade show manager, but it's going specifically to the correct person.
Before I leave you, I would recommend you and Brad might want to have a conversation offline, because Libitus does a stellar job with their results and promoting results of trade show marketing to their clients. If you don't already have some way to measure the success of your direct mail, you guys might have an interesting conversation. Just throwing it out there.
That would be great.
Your turn. You've got $1 million. How are you going to invest in your business or your people, or both? Dan.
There you are, Harold. I couldn't quite hear my name, but I figured it was me, so I'm up. So if I had $1 million,
Bingo.
I'd buy you a K car, a nice Reliant automobile. Little bare naked ladies and lighten up here. I can't sing it all, but I do like that song. It's just kind of fun.
You get points for trying, though.
That's it. That's it. So What I do with $1 million? Well, one, I'd bring back everyone that I still have on part-time into full-time and hire the few folks that I was about to a year plus ago if I could get them in the right mindset and position to do so. I'd also look at a bigger facility. My lease is coming to terms here end of the year, and I want to have a bigger facility for additional rentals because I'm finding more and more of the conversations I'm having over the past 60 days are leading that direction. And I'd also look at potentially acquiring other houses that might not have found their niche in this current rhythm of nothingness, essentially, or looking to get out of it after a long period of time, but have established relationships in geographic regions, which obviously we don't. So that's a mindset I've come to a lot more in the last probably 6 to 8 weeks. Much like Brad, thankful for the second round of PPP that I'm just starting into now. That really is a good lifeline. It's not everything, but it's something in the reality we've been in. But to think more proactively, as it's been essentially a reactive game, as what it feels like, at least over most of the past year.
Tremendous. Thanks, Dan. Jay, it's your turn to spend money. Where and how or on who are you going to spend some of that? Jay. Okay. Stacy, that $1 million is just past you.
Yahoo!
Jake, you wanna-
So for me, I'm a lot smaller than all of you, so $1 million would go really far for me. I would probably spend a lot of money advertising, marketing, because I'm a one-man show. So everything I do is me. So I would probably spend a lot more fixing, doing some more web stuff, more direct marketing, Google marketing, etc. I'd spend a lot more on marketing, I think, because I don't have any funds. And it would be nice to hire somebody to do some of these functions. Actually, it would be an ideal thing for me. I'd probably buy the trade show calendar too, because I could afford it now with my $1 million. And I think I'd go on vacation and donate some of my money.
Nice.
I think, yeah, I'd like to be more giving. Because
Well, I'm sure your clients are asking for it all the time.
what's that?
I think your clients are asking for gimmies all the time.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I'd be more willing to give things away for people that are in greater need. Businesses that really can't afford the marketing budget, et cetera. It'd be nice to give some of that away.
let me put an asterisk there. We used to take our old portable exhibits, either that aged out of the rental program or that client said they didn't want anymore, and we donated them to some of those kinds of places, nonprofits, local schools, et cetera. So you may want to be able to do that now.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of inventory because I rely on the rental of Classic, and they house it at their facility. So I really only have a couple clients that I physically store their actual assets. Most of my clients are large enough that they store their own assets, honestly. But one other thing you just made me think of, and now I've forgotten.
I have that effect on people.
Dang it. It's an aging thing. But yeah, and if I could, honestly, I would buy more time. But I know that's not an option because I never seem to have enough time to do everything that I would like to do in my day because I get distracted. So I am thankful that the clients I do have, I happen to be a woman-owned business. So I am WeBank certified, and the majority of my clients are still there because their supplier diversity is an initiative and they never stopped during COVID. So the blessing is I still have business, but I don't have a lot of overhead. As you can see, I've always worked out of my house, so I don't need any equipment per se, but I need a lot more creativity and marketing and name recognition, I guess, would be even greater. But
Great. Thank you, Stacy. Tom, I'm going to come to you with the same question, and then you can pick up from there. You have $1 million as a regional sales manager. What are you doing to help Tom's business in that role or classics in general?
Well, there's actually two things that I had thought about. First of all, I would put a lot of it into our travel budget so Harold, you and I could hit the road again. And start seeing all you wonderful people, because we miss you. And although this is a good format to stay connected, we still love seeing everyone face to face. Stacy, I'd love to grab coffee with you up in Minneapolis. Lori, I'd love to come to Columbus and see you, even though Brad, Max and Steve are local. It's been difficult to even get out for that. So, I'm just hankering to hit the road again. And then secondly, I would have Kevin bring most of our shop back early in anticipation of all of Brad's 20 rental units he's buying, and the influx of business that we're anticipating. So we're geared up right away and ready for it.
Beautiful. Before I hand it to you, Tom, my $1 million is going to go to a twice a year bringing distributors, one representative from each distributor into Portland for a face-to-face gathering. That's a combination of business and social, get to know each other a little bit more. Anyway, Tom, take us home, will you?
Unless I wasn't paying attention, Lori, did we get you on this? Did you answer this? I don't.
No.
Okay,
Oh,
so you're not off the hook. You're thinking you're off the hook.
Not off the hook.
Lori, you get $2 million.
All right. I did hit the jackpot. No, actually, this was great listening to all of you and just thinking about this. I, like Brad and everyone, been very grateful for the second round of PPP. So, all that's going towards our people and trying to get back. A quick little note on the credit line. We kind of ran into the same situation. Our bank to renew our credit line was kind of doing some ridiculous thing. We did get the opportunity. We did secure a credit line through the SBA. So it's kind of interesting just to kind of share that information. Happy to talk with anyone about that if you have any questions. But so I think after, utilizing the PPP to build our team, continue to use the $1 million for diversification. So we've kind of jumped in with both feet on the digital, interactive experiences. And that's not, it won't be sustainable forever, but it's definitely helped. And same with branded environments. Probably do a little bit more investment in LED screen technology is what we're thinking about. And then last but not least would be educating our team. Things are changing, especially with design and marketing and everything. And over this past year, that's one of the things we haven't been able to continue to invest in is some of that continuing education. So I'd want to get that started again. And then give back to our community. We are in an amazing community and have been very blessed to receive 2 grants from our community, one from $5,000 from Facebook and actually $15,000 from our chamber. So they did it in conjunction with the state. So want to be able to continue to support them and give back to that.
Beautiful.
Great. That's I think that's something that not a lot of people consider is giving back, but I've heard it a few times here today, and I think that's a great way to spend some of that money. Well, thank you, everybody, on that. Let's finish off our classic conversation with kind of a fun thing, a group poll, and hold your answers, and I'm going to ask every one of you, but how many St. Patrick's Days have you spent on the road, either at exhibitor show or other shows and events? And for me, it's been way too many. I don't even want to remember, but it's just that. And is there any cool places that you've spent on the road working that you wanted to share as well? So, Amy, I'll start with you.
I actually don't normally travel, so I would say 0.
Okay. That's all right, though. How about you, Steve?
I just started going to exhibitor a couple of years ago, and I believe they were in the end of February. So, and yeah, no, I've worked a lot of them, but that was the bar days, and I hate them. Yeah, green beer is not appealing on the floor. We'll say it that way. So
Yeah.
I don't really appreciate St. Patrick's Day that much. Too many years behind the bar. So I'm not.
All right, I'm gonna roll the dice and throw it to Max.
It's been years ago, but it was New Orleans to be sure. I mean, you know, in a city that can find an excuse to party for anything, you know, Groundhog Day is a festival there. So it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it a lot. And it was the perfect time because, you know, in the dead of summer in New Orleans, as you all know, it's like living in a dog's mouth. So St. Patrick's Day was kind of refreshing.
Hey, Stacy, how about you?
Well, last year I was in Hawaii on St. Patrick's Day. Just as the country was locking down, I was like, this is a great place to be stuck for a while. I think I'll stay in paradise. So yeah, I was at the Four Seasons 5-star hotel. My husband's best friend managed the property, and there was only 12 couples in the entire facility. So it was like a private 5-star hotel. It was fantastic. Other than that, a couple of years ago, you know, they locked down the streets in St. Paul, of course, because that's, you know, Irish here. And yeah, they had outdoor drinking and, you know, it was nice. But other than that, I can't remember traveling a whole lot. I guess I forget about it on because I'm usually working. I don't think about St. Patrick's Day when I'm working, I guess.
How about you, Lori?
Oh gosh, I've probably been traveling on St. Patrick's Day. I would say it's hard to remember. Probably at least 7 or 8 times within the pre-COVID days. Excited to get back to traveling again. I'm traveling now for leisure, actually out in Phoenix right now, but ready to get back and see everyone at some shows.
Yeah, I'll jump in just real quick. Steve, just so you know that prior years at Exhibitor, they generally, for quite a few years, they were right over or ended right at St. Patrick's Day. So for a number of years, I spent St. Patrick's Day evening on the outdoor patio at New York, New York, with 3,000 of my best friends, my Irish cousins, having a good time. So that's one of my favorite memories of St. Patrick's Day.
Well, this year it starts on Halloween, so maybe they'll be handing out good candy.
That is even scarier proposition to be in Vegas on Halloween.
It's trust me when I tell you, it's far more amusing than you would imagine, and it's a lot of fun.
Being anywhere is a lot of fun. You
Yeah.
know, Groundhog Day, which I heard mentioned, that's only about a 4-hour drive where that officially happens from where I'm sitting right now. And I've covered it from an events side. We've set up things up there for promotion of tourism in the state of Pennsylvania. And one year we had the founder of the Slinky. He came in and signed these custom Groundhog Day Slinkies. And I'll tell you, it's nothing like the movie. It's on top of a mountain, literally in the middle of nothing. There is a town down in the valley, but they blow in straw on top of this mountain in the dead of winter, and they light bonfires to keep people warm, and everybody's intoxicated. And then there's a medical tent, the only heated venue, not even the bathrooms heated, they're the outhouses. And that place is loaded because people are drinking too much because they're so cold. And you're wondering, man, if that wind kicks up, we're all going to light up with this straw on the ground. It's one insane thing. And you know, you don't sleep all night, and then you got to go home, and it was so cold. I'm setting up, and I didn't notice I sliced my thumb open with a utility knife, and I didn't even feel it until I'm looking down. I'm like, wow, this is nuts.
Well,
But anyway,
I'll toss it back from the movie perspective. I was it's in Woodstock. It was filmed in Woodstock, Illinois, and I was working at Elgin Community College in their marketing department, and we all ditched work that day to go run up and see them film it. So I got to meet Bill Murray and what's the other guy's name? The one that directed Harold Ramis. And Bill Murray is every bit as funny as you could imagine. He walked around, shook everybody's hand, said hi to everyone. And so they had kind of transformed that town, but they still have a festival up there to this day. So the fake version of it stands, and it was a lot of fun to watch because we got to see them film a number of scenes from it. So
Yeah.
All right, let's move the
And,
calendar
and,
back
and
to St.
correct me if
Patrick's
I'm
Day.
wrong, but
Back to
Ask
St.
Brad.
Patty's Day. I'm
Correct me
normally
if I'm-
around for St. Patty's Day. I end up missing a lot of Easters. We have clients in the educational space, and there's a Catholic conference, which ironically starts the Monday after Easter every year, which you'd wonder how that just lines up, but it does. I guess because they're on break or something. But so I've missed a lot of Easters, but not so much St. Patty's Day. And
Well,
this year I found in the last year, I found I've been around to be at events that I normally miss because of other events that aren't happening anyway. You know, so my wife's like, well, you're here for this, but we're not doing it. Yeah, no kidding.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but for the entire year of 2020, didn't we all wake up hearing Sonny and Cher in the morning?
Yeah, but the weather
I
did
understand
change.
the reference.
Yeah,
I'm not sure
Groundhog Day.
everybody has watched the movie. Hey, Brad, how about you? How many, you've been on the road a lot for St. Patty's Day?
Well, I've been thinking about that. This year would have been my 29th year of going to the exhibitor show. I think I've missed 3 down through almost the last 3 decades. 92 was my first year going there. So anytime it would have been St. Patrick's Day, I would have been there. As far as anything memorable, I'll tell you, it was a semi-memorable thing, and it was before I got in the industry. I was at Kappa Sig at Clemson in South Carolina, and we would go to Savannah for St. Patrick's Day, which next to maybe Boston or the Chicago River is probably one of the most outrageous St. Patty's Day parties anywhere. Anybody been to Savannah for St. Patrick's Day?
Nobody's admitting it.
So I said it was semi-memorable because I remember more of the first part of that day than the latter part. So that's all I got.
Is
All right.
it just me? Hang on, Tom. Is it just me, or didn't Exhibitor used to fall either set up or near Valentine's Day? I remember missing more than a few Valentine's Days here at home, more than St. Patrick's Days.
Yeah, I think that's way back.
Ouch.
Wow.
Nice, Tom.
I'm with you, Harold. It was Valentine's because my husband worked for Skyline. He was always gone on Valentine's Day. That's absolutely true.
Right.
Well, I think exhibitor show, Randy and company will bargain with Mandalay Bay to find whatever 4-day slot they can get anywhere between early February and late March, because they are not an important show, unfortunately, compared to many of the much bigger ones. So, and that's going to be even more challenging moving forward, by the way.
Janine, are you still on with us?
Yes, I am. I have spent, I think some of them I've been at Exhibitor, because Exhibitor kind of moves around a bit depending on the year. So I have spent some there, and not any that are particularly memorable. It's for me more so probably like Brad, a bit more of college, of wearing not very attractive green outfits, drinking lime daiquiris, and calling all the radio stations in Dallas-Fort Worth to ask them to play Tour Lure Lure or the Unicorn Song by the Roving Irishman.
Well, thanks. Now I'm going to be. I'm going to have to tune in and listen to the Unicorn Song again.
It's by the Roving Irishman.
How about you, Harold?
I don't have St. Patrick's Day to me is something that those around me celebrate. I don't. I mean, I've been to a few bars. I've had a few green beers, but it's not a highlight of my calendar. And I can't remember whether I was working or if I was at home for them. They all kind of just went by, so I'm a boring answer there.
Well, I guarantee you one thing. If you showed up in a bar today, this afternoon, you'd drink for free.
You could do it too, Tom.
How many cities are reopening? Ours is at 75% capacity in the restaurants now. So they're opening up here in Minnesota. How's everyone else?
Los Angeles is slow.
Chicago's
Georgia,
back up to 50% for restaurants and 20% for Wrigley Field and U.S. Cellular. So we're making progress, but I wouldn't guarantee. I'll guarantee we're going to be still dragging behind everyone else.
like it or not, Georgia's been open for months. Not that we've had any big trade shows or large crowds allowed in the sporting arenas yet. So there is some restrictions, but gyms, bars, restaurants, 100%. A lot of people just aren't wearing masks, and I don't know. We were sort of laughed at the beginning of the whole pandemic, and then Florida and Georgia haven't fared any worse than a lot of the rest of the country. So go figure. I don't totally get it, but it's certainly been better for our economy, I guess.
Yeah.
We opened in Texas 100%, and they've lifted the mask mandate, but that said, most grocery stores and are still requiring you wear a mask. And I've been to one restaurant, and they are still, the governor said you can open, but not all restaurants are 100% opening up. Their tables were still all limited to how many people could be there, and you were not like the two tables next immediately around us were all marked like you can't sit here kind of thing. And
Yeah.
the same with our stadiums for college basketball and baseball. It's limited seating. And again, it's all in the baseball stadium, they zip tie the seats. You can't sit in the basketball arena. They just had seat covers like you can't sit here. And everything's either in 2 or 4.
Well, it's good to hear that we're making progress. Like Max said, Illinois has opened up to 50%, and Wisconsin is opening up, and so it's a positive sign.
Yep.
Well, it looks like we're at the end of our time. One piece of business is next month we're going to have one meeting for all of the classic conversation groups, and keep in mind it's probably over 100 people. We're going to bring in 3 to 4 guest speakers from the industry, people we haven't had yet to speak, and looking forward to it. It'll be what we're calling our Red Talk. Or Classic Palooza, either way. But we will be sending out information on that soon, probably before the end of the month. And so we would love to have everybody on that call, because I think it's going to be one of the more interesting calls of the year. Harold, anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, Natalie just joined us 30 seconds ago. Welcome to the meeting, Natalie.
It starts 12 or 1. Is it a 12 or a 1 o'clock start time? I think I was confused.
That's all right. I'll tell you all about it because we recorded it. We're good.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Guys, it's always a pleasure
on
to see
that
you.
note, thanks everyone. Great seeing you again, and we will talk to you soon. Take care. Be safe today.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.